we did witness, taking a look at the match stats here, between these two sides, it really did come alive in the second half because we didn't see too much from Real Madrid in that first half of action. But this is how it all finishes. When it comes to Copa del Rey titles, it is Barcelona who stand ahead of others. 32. This makes it ahead of Athletic with 24, Real Madrid with 20, and Atleti with 10. And now the party begins in Sevilla, and there's still plenty more to play for Barcelona this season. We have Luis Garcia with us, barely keeping his eyes open. It's like 6:30 a.m., probably 7 a.m. in the morning in Kuala Lumpur. I don't think Sid Lowe's realised he's on TV. Oh, there he is.
All
he's
right,
popped
okay.
back up.
Do whatever you want, Sid.
Nedum with us. Hello, Sid. Hello, Nedum. Let's go to you guys first. What a final we've just witnessed, Sid.
Well, it was pretty wild, wasn't it? And we got that moment as well that we were all kind of worried about getting, that we kind of thought, well, at some point the referee's going to be the protagonist. What we didn't think is it was going to be with 30 seconds to go. The two men that this whole final has been about, and I'm really glad that in the end it wasn't about them. Although that moment will, of course, take a lot of people's attention. Then we were actually sitting pitchside, weren't we, saying it's going to be someone we don't expect.
Yeah, that's right. And I think, to be honest, from my perspective, when it comes down to things like extra time, very rarely is it actually like the key players, and it's never really as good as we hope it would be. Yeah. Sometimes it will be a mistake, but for Koundé, I thought he played well overall throughout the game. And for him to still be on the front foot that late in the game, to be able to sense it, read it, as Ali said, step into the passing lane and to shoot and score like that. Honestly, I love it when defenders do things good, especially scoring winning goals. I was buzzing for that. That was for all of us. That was for all defenders out there that's ever done it. But yeah, it was a great moment for him. And the game itself, as the guys have said, in the second half, it really kicked on. I thought first half Barcelona looked like far and away the better team, in my opinion. Yeah. But something about Real Madrid in that second half felt more like usual, and Barcelona suffered.
And when Real Madrid really took the game to Barcelona, they made Barcelona look nervous for the first time. And Barcelona afterwards were pretty vulnerable in that period in which Madrid were just going and going and going. Which is something we haven't seen.
Sorry, I can only apologise. I can't hear you. The world's biggest speaker happens to be right next to us. I can't hear you anymore.
Just nod and say yes.
Yes, I totally agree, Sid. I totally agree. Yes.
To be honest, Sid, I think if you hold your microphone up just a little bit, he'll be able to hear you a little bit better, because it would be great to continue getting the perspective.
Just basic television, you know?
No. That makes absolutely no difference because it's not. Nedum's not hearing me from the microphone. He's trying to hear me from standing next to me. But it's that
basic
noise
television.
In the stadium. I don't know if I mean, I was going to encourage the camera to pan round. If you see the size of the speaker, which is literally 2 meters from us, you can't hear anything.
Listen, it's bigger than Real Madrid. That's all you need to say.
Okay, so we won't ask you what the story is behind the 2 pairs of sunglasses on Lamine Yamal, but I suppose he can do what he wants right now because Barcelona are on course for a treble. This is the first of the trophies that they can win this season. They've done so. They have got the Copa del Rey. I suppose you can count the Super Copa as well against Barcelona already in their, against Real Madrid already in their hands. And this, of course, Luis, is a 3rd win against Real Madrid this season. Of course, this one was a lot closer, but it's 3 for 3 for Barcelona right now.
Yes, and it's a big statement. I think that at some point everybody was thinking during the season that this Barcelona was going not to keep that consistency. They had that amazing low where Real Madrid went ahead by 9-10 points, and then they managed to get back on their feet. It was extraordinary actually to see this Barcelona understand that they have to continue like this, playing the same way with that philosophy, with that. A lot of credit we have to give, of course, to Hansi Flick, but definitely arriving to the Copa del Rey final and knowing that Real Madrid is always going to get back, is always going to be ready to give another fight. I think they managed very well the game. I thought at some point that Real Madrid had a little bit more with the changes that Ancelotti put on the second half. A little bit more from Arda Güler, a little bit more from Mbappe, that I think at some point could have the chance. He was a couple of times in offside. No Hendrik, maybe, or Ibrahim, but definitely you could see that Real Madrid was a little bit more ready to get this trophy. But it was that fantastic shot from Koundé. So I think it's been overall a fantastic game for Barcelona to keep that momentum. Let's don't forget, this was going to be. It's been a very demanding game. and they have a very important game also in the midweek in Champions League. So I think the result is going to give them even an extra boost to continue until the end of the season. 3 wins against your biggest rival, something that you get every single season.
Yeah, and of course, no Robert Lewandowski there, as we just saw him lifting the trophy. They still managed to get it done without him. The game in its entirety, Ale, who stood out to you most from either side?
Wow. Well, that's difficult because it was so different to see the first half to then see what the game became in the second half and then in extra time. If it was just about the first half, I would tell you that Pedri was playing as if he was in the park. Just, hey, I get the ball from you, I give it to you, I'm going to connect this pass, I'm going to connect that pass, I'm going to dribble away from pressure, I'm going to score a great goal. And he just felt like he was playing at a completely different pace than everybody else, seeing a complete different picture than everybody else. And Real Madrid allowed that to happen. Once you get into the second half, and then you see how Real Madrid changed in terms of their personality, in terms of their approach, their line of confrontation, their intensity, their energy, the attacking players actually tracking back and forcing mistakes from players from Barcelona trying to build out of the back, forcing turnovers. I would say a guy who I highlighted as not working all that hard defensively in the Pedri goal, Jude Bellingham picked up the pace in the second half. So did Vini Jr. So did Kylian Mbappe coming off the bench. But if I'm going to highlight somebody from Real Madrid, it's none of those guys. It's Fede Valverde. Let me tell you something. I don't think I could love a man more than I do Fede Valverde as a player. I love me some Pedri, and I've made that very clear. But to have Fede Valverde on your team is having like 2-3 guys doing different jobs, and he's doing it by himself. He covers so much ground and gives this team so much flexibility in terms of what they can do. And so you see the changes that Carlo Ancelotti made that really dramatically changed the game because you have the flexibility to have Fede Valverde. You go play right back. You go play in the middle. You go chase over there. You go cover back there. When you have that, it gives you power as a manager. And give credit to Carlo Ancelotti, who did change the team. And then extra time came and you're thinking, okay, is the momentum with Real Madrid? Is the momentum with Barcelona because of the late goal with Ferran Torres? And both teams had chances in a back and forth to go and win this game. It was a great final.
It really was. What stood out to you, Stevie?
I've got to say Pedri in the first half.
Yeah.
I mean, he looked a man amongst boys when actually he's a boy amongst the rest of the men. So, yeah, I can't see past Pedri.
Yeah, absolutely. When you talk about the momentum shifts, I wonder how that was in the stadium, Sid. I think that music has finally stopped for us because obviously all the momentum went Real Madrid's way in the second half. So for Barcelona to have come... Oh, we've got some more music coming back. For Barcelona to have come through that anyway, what was it like to be in the stadium when it shifted that way?
Yeah, and it really is a question about the stadium, not just about the football, by the way. And it was really, really telling. We were behind the goal that Real Madrid were attacking. And obviously one of the things that happens is that Real Madrid put on Kylian Mbappe. And when you can put on a player that good, you know you're able to change the game. You know that he's able to run at people and make a difference. And then Ancelotti went for that change with Arda Güler and Luka Modric much, much earlier than he makes most changes. And as you say, Kay, in terms of living it in the stadium, Madrid made 2 or 3 chances or half chances. They chased Barcelona's defenders down. All of a sudden it was front foot. All of a sudden the fans at that end started making a noise. And the whole psychology of the game changed. Not just the quality and the technique and the approach and all the rest of it, but the psychology and the mentality changed as well.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And there was a definite change in belief amongst the players when they're attacking that side as well. I think, as you guys have said, like the way that they put Barcelona under pressure, all of a sudden that build-out wasn't as good anymore. Pedri wasn't having the same impact. Frankie de Jong was losing the ball as well. And Madrid were on the front foot. They were on the front foot and the noise was up. And it felt like, obviously, with us being right in front of the Madrid fans, it felt like we're at the Bernabeu. That's what it felt like. It felt like a sense of inevitability. Then they get the first, they get the second. It's like, well, we've seen this story before. But in fairness to Barcelona, their ability to find that second goal to make it even. And then there was that big moment, that goal in the 96th minute. Honestly, I've never seen a stadium more split in all my life. Barcelona fans adamant it's a penalty. Real Madrid fans adamant that it's not. What's the referee's decision going to be? And I think the question that we asked when it went into extra time, who has more momentum now? And in the end, it was just even. For Barcelona, it wasn't like a big downer from losing a penalty from Madrid. It wasn't a big boost from not having it given against them. But I think overall, like, once Real Madrid settled in, it was a good game of football.
But as you've just said there, the stadium was completely split. There's 2 halves of the stadium. There's a third.
Okay.
Which is the referee.
Yes.
Imagine being that referee, Ricardo de Burgos Bengoechea, who has cried in the pre-match press conference, him and Gonzalo Fuertes in the in the VAR room who have been accused, who are the reason why Real Madrid didn't turn up for the pre-match press conferences and all the pre-match activities, and the reason why there was a threat that they might not turn up tonight. Imagine being in that position, standing. I mean, yesterday you have literally told everybody that it's not just me, it's my family that get abused. And you're standing in front of that VAR screen thinking, wow, whatever happens.
The crazy thing about it for me is I'm with Stephen. I think it was the right decision to not give the penalty in the 96th minute. And the game went the way that it went, and I think the referee made 1 or 2 mistakes, and Barcelona feel aggrieved, Real Madrid feel aggrieved. But at the end of the game, the feeling amongst the Real Madrid players wasn't disappointment, it was anger.
Yes.
A lot of anger toward the referee and the other officials. And I think that is a shame in some ways, because I think overall, the best that they could under these circumstances, and the biggest moment in the game, which would have been the last kick of the game, was the right decision. And I think that's something that should be championed, in my opinion.
It was the right decision in the opinion of the Madrid fans. Obviously, in a way that I mean, I guess the fact that it went Real Madrid's way, in terms of the fallout, because it's Madrid that have lost, had it not gone Real Madrid's way, if that had been the way they lost, although they're angry about other elements of the way the game was refereed, that kind of one big headline decision, I guess in terms of it not being kind of really nasty over the next few days, maybe it went the right way that way as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I think as well, regardless of whatever we've seen about said about the referee and the bigger topic we could talk about, say abusive referees and so on, I think today was a really good game of football.
Oh, it was.
And I think that is ultimately going to be something which we will talk about. Obviously from Real Madrid they could feel aggrieved, but the game of football was the most important thing, and I've very much enjoyed being a part of it.
Oh, well, Nedum, I'm glad that you were ending there, because it's your first Clásico for us. So just talk us through the experience and what it was like to actually sit and witness a Clásico pitch side like that.
Hey, not just sitting and witnessing it, I'm sitting alongside Sid. You know, he's the man himself when it comes down to Spanish football history. So from my perspective, as a young guy, I used to watch La Liga all the time. Like my first season really paying attention to La Liga was when Ronaldo was at Barcelona. That's when I started to fall in love with it, and the coverage that was over in the UK, it was growing, and I loved it. On the weekend, I'd be watching that more than Premier League football. And I'll be honest, I had a soft spot for Barcelona. Seeing the likes of Ronaldo, Romario, Rivaldo, you know, Messi, who's my favourite player of my lifetime. It was great to see that from a distance. So to then come over and get a chance to see one of the biggest games, if not the biggest game of football, with the stakes like they are now.
Yeah.
It was amazing to be in the city and to see the fans slowly start coming in. At the start of the day, I thought everyone's quite calm. By the time it was 5, 6 o'clock, it was getting a lot louder. There were a few more sort of like incidents where people realised that they'd come here for a reason. Then the game arrives. The difference in culture, the fact that when the anthem's going on, you're seeing Madrid fans really getting into it, the Barcelona fans not as much. You know, there's so much history behind this fixture, and to see the two contrasting styles in terms of how they want to play as well, it was an amazing experience, and I couldn't take my eyes away from it. I felt very privileged to be here, as did Sid, as did pretty much everyone else within that media section, because not only is this two of the biggest clubs in the world, these are some of the best players in world football as well, and they put on a show to the likes where you will not be forgetting about that for a long time.
The other thing here, of course, is that this, in terms of atmosphere, in terms of the size of it, may well be the biggest Clásico there's ever been, in that sense, because, of course, we're talking about two teams that have only played each other in Copa del Rey finals 7 times before tonight, and this is the biggest of the stadiums they've played in. Now, there is a difference, a really big difference between a Clásico in La Liga, where you might get 150 or 200 away fans, and it being today, where it's 27,000 and the rest. Obviously, it's 27,000. Officially, it's more like 35,000 of each set fans, and that creates something really special, because I do say this, obviously, as someone who's seen a lot of Clásicos, and it's easy maybe at times to take it for granted, particularly in those league ones where you think, well, it's the Bernabeu, so they all support Real Madrid, or it's Montjuic or the Camp Nou, so they all support Barcelona. But this is everybody.
Yeah, you could feel the momentum shifts. Yeah. You could see Real Madrid for a section were quiet, then the noise was up, and it was really up. But then you look on the other side, Barcelona, when they have a spell, the flags are out there singing their songs. The other teams whistling, the other fans are whistling. Like, it's one of the best atmospheres that I've witnessed myself, and it's the type of game that so many people, you know, who would love to have a career in football, it's a game that they'd love to play in, a Clásico, with a trophy on the line, with that many fans there, and the occasion like this, it was amazing.
Brilliant stuff, guys. But obviously, Luis, for Barcelona, that's 120 minutes of football played, and they'll be massively boosted by this result against their rival Real Madrid. But now they've got to regroup, and they've got Inter to face in the Champions League next. How do you see that going? And do you see any after effects from this game today going into that massive Champions League game for them?
Yeah, it's not gonna be easy to try to bring the players that they played today for most of the game. We saw a very tired Pedri. That is something unusual because we see him running all around the pitch for 12, 13 kilometers. So today was even more exhausting. The pressure, the feeling of being against your rival. But I think that I mentioned before, I think that when you win a game like this one, when you manage to lift a trophy at this moment, and knowing that you are at the top of La Liga, knowing that you just won against your biggest rival and you are very close to win also another trophy in La Liga. When you face against any other team, even it doesn't matter if it's 3-4 days, you're going to be recovered, you're going to be ready because you know that it can be your year. We are talking about a team that no one was expecting from the beginning of the season that could give this back, give that the show that they are putting on the field, these kind of performances, the football that they are displaying, and with the options of winning even 4 trophies. So yeah, it's not going to be easy. They're going to have to figure it out how to restore and recharge the batteries of all those players. But I'm sure the Hansi Flick has got another joker under his sleeve, another card, and he's going to manage those rotations in a fantastic way to try to perform well in the midweek game.
Yeah. Oh, so obviously another La Liga game to come, another Clásico between these two in La Liga. As for Kylian Mbappe, there's been some bad press around him lately because of what we've seen from him of late. Has he redeemed himself in today's game? You know, we've seen boos from the Madridistas when he's come up on the screen and moments like that. What does today's game do for him?
Well, it's a step forward, but they lost the final. This is about winning. And Real Madrid is about winning. And you could see Carlo Ancelotti when he was walking through the Guard of Honor by Barcelona. He went straight to Hansi Flick. Good game. And I'm going straight out this way. Because Real Madrid don't play for second place. And that's something that I think Kylian Mbappe needs to understand as well. And so while he may think and feel good about himself and that he came in and made a difference, well, yeah. If you're considered to be one of the best, if not the best player in the world, and you're coming off the bench, you're expected to make a difference. And he did. He did make a difference. And he was active. And he was chasing around defenders. And so here's where I have an issue. Because most people would say, hey, that's good work by you, Kylian. What I'm saying is, how come today you were active defensively? How come today you were willing to chase? How come today you were pressing people? So you're capable of doing it. You just choose to do it whenever you want to. That is damning evidence. So while you may shape this K as a positive for Kylian Mbappe, I shape it as, so there's more to give from Kylian Mbappe if you're a Real Madrid fan. This is closer to what you think you were getting. A player scoring a big goal in a big game and being active over the course of the 45 minutes that he was in the second half and then the extra 30 minutes. That should be the expectation. That should be the standard, and he shouldn't drop from there. When he drops from there, that's when we get critical of Kylian Mbappe because we know his best is better than most. His best is better than most in the world. So it's noticeable when he's not playing at his best.
And with that in mind, Sid, as we get the final thoughts from you guys at the side of the pitch today, what does it do going forward for these two teams? Because there is season left still to play in La Liga, and there is, of course, that other Clásico still to come.
Yeah, and that Clásico does mean, of course, that the league title race is not necessarily run. Barcelona have a 4-point lead. If Real Madrid were to win that Clásico, it'd be 1 point. Now, not necessarily, because they've both got one more game before that. There's Valladolid and Celta de Vigo to come. Harder for Real Madrid than for Barcelona to play Celta than it is to play Valladolid. But then the 3 games after the Clásico, I think, are slightly easier for Real Madrid than Barcelona. So if Madrid were able to come out of that Clásico with a point as the gap, I think they will believe that there's a chance to win the league. That said, I think tonight damages that. I think had they won tonight, they would think to themselves, not just, hey, we feel stronger, but Barcelona will start having doubts now.
Yeah, I think that's fair, but I think for the way that Real Madrid sort of reacted in that second half, I think you can take something away from it, and I don't think you'll necessarily talk about it out in the open to the press, because that's not necessarily the culture of Real Madrid to accept finishing second or to lose in a final. But they've gone toe-to-toe and they've seen that they've made Barcelona suffer, and I think in reality, when that game does come up, as far as from what I can see, like, the Madrid DNA is not to believe that things are done until they're done. You know, they'll have a belief that they can do it. They'll be watching Barcelona's games, obviously, but they believe they can win that Clásico, and they've had more magical moments than what we could even expect to see between now and the end of the season. So yes, it's a big blow for them today. For Barca, it's a big lift to be able to hold that trophy up, but this is never over with Real Madrid, especially domestically.
So Nedum, you're in one of the most beautiful cities in Spain, sunny Sevilla. It's Sunday tomorrow. What have you got planned?
I'm going to try my best to go to the airport. I've got a 7 a.m. flight, and I'm going to appear somewhere else in the ESPN multiverse. Tell me where.
As Kay well knows, there is only one. As Kay well knows, there is only one plan at this point, isn't there, Kay? It is 1:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
Nedum's got a 7 o'clock flight. You know what this means, don't you? This means you've got to go through the night. There is no point in even trying. There is no point in even trying to sleep now.
You're a bad influence. I have no intention of doing that.
An all-nighter. Look at Sidlow. What a bad influence he is. Luis Garcia's done an all-nighter for us as well.
Yes, he has.
Look at that.
Yeah. We've actually seen from darkness, from night, to actually the dawn and the new morning with Luis Garcia.
It's true. Look at that.
All-nighters are plenty here on ESPN FC, and you will be seeing Nedum's lovely face tomorrow on our FA Cup coverage as well. Never mind Barcelona not getting a rest ahead of that Inter game. Nedum straight back into it.